The college football experience, Clemson Tigers 2025 season preview episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog's got a brand new offer for new customers. Play just $5 and get $50 in bonus funds when you sign up with our promo code TCESGPN. Remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
Hey, this is Derek Stevens. I'm the owner of Circa Las Vegas. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience, Clemson Tigers 2025 season preview episode. Oh boy, national champion contenders saying many in the preseason here. And I know it's August 24th, late episode here, but we put it, we do our team previews for all 130 some teams. This year it's 136. We did them alphabetically in years past. Last year we did conference by conference, which people did not like. And so I thought, well, alphabetically, you always have, West Virginia fans or Wisconsin fans or Wyoming fans bitching. So we put them in a randomizer this year. And that is why you're getting the Clemson Tigers so late, Sunday, August 24th, freshly back from Las Vegas, Nevada. And I must apologize. I think this is an episode that probably deserves my co-host, but time is limited to get all the previews done. So we have to carry on, but I have slides. I will talk Clemson Tiger football because I think if you are a Clemson fan, you are very, very optimistic about your chances to get back to the college football playoff where you were a year ago. And a lot of win the national championship or at least play in the national championship game. So it's a very exciting time, I think, to be a Clemson Tiger fan. It has been really the whole Dabo era, but even more, maybe this might be the best time, just considering Dabo's taken a lot of heat. And look, even myself, I thought, why wouldn't you use the transfer portal some? Now, I'm not super pro transfer portal, but I just thought you might as well use it if everyone else is using it. So a lot of people kind of wrote him off, say, he's not going to change his ways. Good luck. Well, he still made the college football playoffs last year with very little transfers. And this year we'll show you in a minute here, but man, you look at this Clemson program, because I am old enough where I remember them in the 90s, where they weren't horrible in the 90s. They always had talent, but there were, 3, 4, 5 losing seasons in the 90s, something like that, or 500 seasons or below. So there used to be the term Clemsoning, which was like, man, anytime they're in a big game, they just can't seem to get it done. Well, that kind of died when Dabo Swinney became the head football coach. With the exception, they did have a losing season. His second year, he was 6-7. But the guy has had I feel like since 2011, he's had a double-digit win season every single year except 23, where he was 9-4. I mean, just an unbelievable fucking run here by Dabo Swinney. So, excited to talk about them. You're probably wondering who the hell are you listening to, and that's fair. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Oh, we love Clemson Tiger football. They've been rolling. I remember the Ken Hatfield days. Tommy West. How about Danny Ford? Legendary Danny Ford. Hootie Ingram, the inspiration behind Hootie and the Blowfish. All right, let's go, Frank Howard. You could go on and on and on about the great history. Johnny Heisman, coached at Clemson. Never had a losing season at Clemson, too. All right, we're talking about it all on this one. Let's jump into the slideshow. YouTube.com/the college experience. Remember, we're breaking down all 136 teams. Even going to hit you with a Syracuse Orangeman preview after this, most likely. So let's go. We're buckled up. We're ready to go. 120 other previews are out right now. So go check out that. We almost got everybody done. But jump to the slideshow right there. YouTube.com/the college experience. And boom. Dabo Swinney. I was just talking about this guy. He ain't putting up with your bullshit. Look, this guy still has 30 wins in 3 years. Unfucking believable. In an era that they say he can't adapt to, he's here to say fuck you, and I'm here to tell you it. All right, because he's getting it done. Dabo Swinney. And by the way, first, I don't know why it says first there. It should say his all-time. It should say his all-time record, which is 180-47, by the way. Unbelievable run. He's 12-9 in bowls, 2 national championships, 9 ACC titles. And when I heard him speak at ACC Media Days, I think he brought up the history that there's only a few of those schools that have done that in like a 14-year stretch. I think he has so many top 10 finishes or top 15 finishes. I forget his exact nugget that he had when he opened his press conference with at ACC Media Days there in Charlotte. Was pretty much how, like, you know, we've done this shit and only a couple other teams have ever done this in the history of our sport here. So pretty remarkable stuff. I'm sure that's out there on YouTube or whatever. Daniel Cade, he was at a Stallions game. Well, you know, Dabo's an Alabama boy. All right. He played at Alabama. A lot of people they feared that he was going to go to Alabama. But he's been incredible there at Clemson there. And look, there is a lot of reason to feel very, very optimistic about this year's team. And I think it starts with the offense, with Garrett Riley. You know, Lincoln Riley's brother, in case you did not know that. Last season, it seemed like early on they were having their struggles, but late in the year, because remember, this was only his second season in Clemson. So Cade Klubnik, their QB, which we'll talk about in a second here, you could see, remember, Cade Klubnik beat out DJU. DJU transfers to Oregon State, and you could see kind of like weak, you know, because there were certainly times, and Cade Klubnik actually mentioned this at ACC Media Days too. And I thought this was pretty profound what he said. He said, I didn't always play the best for Clemson, and Dabo stuck with me. And he said, after my year that I was terrible, not last year, but the year prior, he called me into his office and said, we're gonna figure this out. I'm not ditching you. I think that, dude, I don't know how anyone can't be a fan of that. You know, you got a kid that's struggling and probably lacking confidence. You got a Hall of Fame coach basically saying, I'm not hitting the fucking portal. Fuck you. I believe in you. We're going to battle through this. I think that is a testament to Dabo Swinney. And look, say what you want about the guy, but a lot of coaches would not do that. A lot of coaches would not do that. And I think that is very, very awesome. The offense a year ago, though, because they started to click late in the year, by the way. Last season, they started to click. 18th in scoring offense, 48th in pass offense, 15th in rush offense, charting at the 11th best offense in America. Well, that offense returns a shit ton of production. The wideouts, that was another thing I think people would say. I don't want to say during his struggling years, because to me, the only time Dabo struggled was 2010 when they were 6-7. But every other season, like recently, some people would say during his recent struggles, even though, like I said, the guy's won 30 games in 3 years. One of the things has been the wide receiver room has not been very good. The offensive line has lacked talent some of those years, I think people would say. Well, that's not the case this year. So Cade Klubnik is back, and the receivers are probably the best they've been since they won a national championship with Antonio Williams, TJ Moore, Bryant Wesco, and 4 of 5 back on the O-line, Tristan Lee, Blake Miller, Walker Parks, and Lithicum back at the center spot there. So bringing back just a slew, 8 starters back on the offensive side of the ball, and they hit the portal. Oh, what do they do? They bring in 2 fucking guys. Dabo, relax. That trip to Normal, Illinois to talk to Tristan Smith. That wasn't even a trip either. That was a Skype. Listen, Tristan, you're playing FCS football. We're down here at Clemson. We win championships. So why don't you come on down to Clemson? Tristan Smith, yes, wide receiver, comes in from Illinois State. And offensive lineman Hayes Galloway from North Carolina. That's it. That's all they got on the offensive side of the ball. But yeah, I mean, I feel. Did they really? I know the chat's saying the running back room. What the Gideon Davidson, the freshman, is I think one that a lot of people are talking about. But they also got who's it? Is it Perlman? I forget. But that's I would say that is their most unknown position is running back. But honestly, like, where would you put that in the realms of positions that you really, value? Yes, a good running back is important, but I also think, first off, they're running Garrett Riley's offense. Like I said, brother of Lincoln Riley. Running back isn't a major point of emphasis traditionally in those offenses, but it still helps to have a pass catching back in that system and just a guy that can crank one open, in a spot where you need a yard or two, or perhaps when you think it's pass and you could do a draw, something like that. But man, returning that much production and another year in Riley's system, coaching continuity so big. I feel like in this day and age of college football, being able to keep Riley there, which is tricky because you got to think if Clemson is in if they're even in the top 15 and barely miss out of the playoffs, you got to think Garrett Riley's the head coach next year, right? He was at TCU when they went to the national championship as their OC. I would be hard pressed to think he's not a head coach next year. So it's pivotal that they have him back this year and that he isn't a head coach this year. So, yeah. Anyway, there's that right there. The offensive side of the ball, I think, will be good. And that's the question I always ask my co-host was, will the offense be better than 11th in the nation this year? I think they probably will. I think I think the schedule is harder this year, but I do believe that that this offense should take another step forward with all that production back. So I'm going to say 11th or better will this offense be this season. So now the defensive side of the ball, this is, I think, the biggest thing. You look at the numbers from a year ago. Obviously Tom Allen is not the DC a year ago. He was at Penn State. But this is pretty shocking numbers for a Clemson team that has historically been so good defensively. 42nd in scoring defense a year ago, 54th in pass defense, 85th in rush defense, 69th in total defense. And they go and hire Tom Allen, who I think is a fucking fantastic football coach. I honestly think Tom Allen should be a head coach. I thought he did a decent job at Indiana. Now, he didn't do Signetti, but he still was a good coach at Indiana, in my opinion. Like, he should be a head coach somewhere. But this is a great hire. This is exactly what they needed, in my opinion, to get back to them being a very good defense. And I think Tom Allen's just the guy for it. They return just 5 starters from a season ago. TJ Parker at the DN spot. Peter Woods at the D tackle spot. Linebacker Woodha is back. Avion Terrell at the corner spot. Free safety Khalil Barnes and kicker Nolan Hauser. Yeah, I mean, Klubnik, Heisman futures. Yeah, I mean, it depends what odds you can currently get him at. I feel like a lot of people are jumping on it, but I could totally see it. Now this defense, though, like I said, they are the bigger mystery, I think, coming into the year, but they have guys projected to be NFL first and second round draft picks on this defense. So with Tom Allen, who I think is just a phenomenal defensive coordinator, I think he'll find a way to get this defense to be vastly improved. And I think, as Matt's saying, he thinks all 5 will be in the NFL. They hit the portal and they brought in just 2 guys. They have a 2-guy limit on offense and defense. You can hit the portal, but only bring in two of those sons of bitches. All right. Linebacker Jeremiah Alexander from Alabama, and defensive end Will Helt from Purdue. By the way, Purdue does have a guy on every team. But those guys, what's his name? Helt is a stud. We'll see how Alexander does, but I am convinced this defensive line is going to be an X factor in this college football season. So you want to talk about one of the bigger jumps for any team, any unit. I think this is one of the ones I expect them to be a top 25 defense. So you're talking going from 69th to somewhere in the top 25. I really believe that will be the case this year with Tom Allen. And the fact that the offense will be able to move the ball more, I think will help the defense some. So yeah, consider me buying in offensively and defensively. And I think Tom Allen is just the guy for the job. We will talk about the schedule and state of the program in a second here, but I want to let the good folks know that the college football experience, Clemson Tigers style, is brought to you by mybookie.ag. Yes, MyBookie is your place to bet on every single sport, including all the shit you can bet on right now, right? Hell, I was just in Vegas betting a ton of money on CFL, Week 0 college football, MLB. Man, Red Sox whooped the Yankees' ass the other day. Everything else, I mean, look, MyBookie offers everything. You can find you can find Korean baseball, everything on that thing. College football futures, of course. And MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of different locations. You can easily deposit, get lightning fast payouts using crypto. So head on over to mybookie.ag, and when you do, use our promo code TCESGPN for a 50% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply, of course. That's mybookie.ag. Promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Yes, college football is back on Rhythm. And last season, Rhythm's predictive models had a 22% ROI on non-conference spreads. They absolutely killed it on FCS totals. Week 0 and week 1 last year overall, 16-4 ATS plus they're up 11.6 units. And Rhythm also has the NFL, golf, MLB, WNBA. So what are you doing? Go get the app now and make your own model, since all these predictions are live. Get your free 7-day trial period as well. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right, we are back talking Clemson Tiger football, and it's a proud program, man. You go through this thing. Even though they had that 6-7 season in 2010 and Dabo's second year, they really haven't had a shitty season since 98. 98 would be the season that was like, man, 3-8 last season of the Tommy West era. This program's been kicking ass for a long time though. But yeah, I mean, that's all part of the state of the program: roster, retention, portal, coaching staff, coaching hires, winning history, also stadium. And folks, if you have not been to a game at Memorial Stadium there, Death Valley, 83 years young, this is fire. This is just, if you haven't been to a game, what the fuck you doing? All right. We got the cathedrals in college football, and this is one of them. Yeah, this place is fantastic. And if you haven't, that's what I like about week 1. You got the battle of the Death Valleys. I believe Clemson's been referred to it longer, but I could be mistaken just from what I read. But so they say they're the original Death Valley. And then they think these LSU Tigers, these piles of shit, are stealing their stuff. Unoriginal motherfuckers. That's what they're saying, right? I don't know. We'll have to settle that on the field week 1 in just 6 days, right? But honestly, if you haven't been to this stadium, it is incredible. If you see right there, Memorial Stadium, honoring all Clemson alumni who have made the supreme sacrifice in the service for our country, dedicated to in 1942. Shout out to that. I mean, it's just fantastic, right? You look at this thing and it's like, what are we doing, folks? Why would you ever watch an NFL game when you got this going on right here? I mean, you kidding me? Bank of America Stadium or this? Unbelievable. Yeah. Get yourself out to a game. There's nothing like this shit. All right. Look at that view right there. Are you kidding me? It's just college football done right, the way the sport should be. You know, Clemson knows what they're doing. Get out to a game. Highly recommend it. You will not regret that decision. Shout out to Clark saying top 5 stadium in the country. Ron saying LSU is a big look. I've been to LSU Tiger Stadium. I absolutely love it. So you're not going to catch me throwing shade on Tiger Stadium, but it is between the fan bases. I believe that there's some drama. There's a little bit of drama. So, get out to a game, folks. It's fantastic. You got they run down the hill, the rock. You got the bus ride outside of the stadium. I mean, it's everything that's right about the sport. The history of the sport is, just rich down there in Clemson, South Carolina. So get out to a game, but that is a big part of state of the program. So I'm giving this thing a 10 of 10. You see right there, Howard's Rock. Hell yeah, let's go. And that's the way it used to look back in the day. They've done a great job, really developing this thing. So that's why it's great. The NFL stadiums are all these scumbag owners. They're always like, "Oh, we need the city's got to pay, give us $50 billion because our stadium's 20 years old." College football is a perfect example of you don't need that. You don't need that. Every fucking stadium's like 90 years old. It's like 90 of the greatest stadiums in the world for football. I bet you 86 are like fucking. This is a dumb statement, but I'm just because it's all hypothetical. But this is a special fucking place. And I honestly, I've seen a documentary of like a kid in Europe that goes searching for like the top stadiums in America, and he finds like the SEC stadiums, right? And he's just blown away by these stadiums, right? So there's validity to it. These places are like I love the fact that you can play on the same place that fucking every one of your legends played at. You got players that probably had their grandfathers play at this fucking stadium. It's one of the things that's unique about the sport, and they protect their history, whereas I feel like the National Football League destroys their history. Anyway, get out to a game. State of the program. Now, look, I gave this a 9, not a 10. It probably deserves a 10, but I think the fact that it really deserves a 10 because they've had double-digit win seasons every year but one since 2011. But I just think with the portal and the way the game has changed, many are speculating that the game could have passed Dabo Swinney by. Well, there's a chance to prove him wrong. So I'll correct the slide though. I'm going to say it deserves a 10. You got, you made the playoffs last year. It should still be a 10. My apologies. I'm still giving it a 10. Let's go. All right, let's talk about this schedule though, because this is the big time question. A lot of people, I was just out in Vegas talking with a lot of people that cover college football. Man, I almost feel like this is the scary thought. I think if you're a Clemson fan, majority of the people I talked to had them at least in the national championship. Yeah, I probably talked to 20 people this weekend that cover the sport. Someone doing ESPN over here, someone doing this or this that are out there for the sign-up weekend there at Circa. And majority had, I would say this, Penn State and Clemson, I thought were the two most popular picks to play in the national championship. After that was Texas and Alabama. So very intriguing stuff there, but I don't know if you want that. Could that be a distraction? Week 1, we get a banger Saturday night or Saturday. Is this night? This is night, right? I got to check this real quick. I'm pretty sure this is night. But you never know. This is the problem. The fact I even have to check is the current state of fucking college football right now. What time is it? Yeah. Okay. 7:30 p.m. It better be. This game is fucking awesome. This is probably the best. This is probably the best game in my opinion. I know a lot of people say Texas, Ohio State, but Texas, Ohio State, I think they'll be fine to make the playoffs. This one actually has, like, if Brian Kelly loses yet again, another opener. LSU hasn't won an opener since it's been a decent stretch, man. It's like 4 or 5 years now. And then Brian Kelly has a problem with openers back to his Notre Dame days, I feel like. But also the Clemson side of things. They were 0-3 against the SEC last year. Got their ass whooped in what, 2 of them, right? So this is a gigantic prove it game to me. The current line is Clemson -4 on DK. Man, I think I would actually take the points, but I have Clemson winning it. But I will take the points. Garrett Nussmeier. Is this the best quarterback battle maybe for all week 1? I'll take Clemson to win the game, but 4 is a little too steep to me. I think you might get something like that USC LSU game from a year ago, 3-point game or something. So I will take the 4 in LSU in the chat that they're talking about. But I do think Clemson is going to win this game. I trust that Death Valley to be the difference in the game. I know Brian Kelly's made it a point of, hey, we beat Clemson everywhere in the locker rooms. Whatever, like, I just still feel like in college football it is incredibly hard to win on the road, especially against good teams in lit environments. So give me Clemson to win this thing. 31-28. LSU covers. 1-0 for these Clemson Tigers, though. Cannot wait to watch this one. Then week 2, these Troy Trojan men. Troy is not very good. So this should be an easy one. I will say, for the history buffs out there, the year that Clemson won it with Deshaun Watson, they almost lost to Troy. It was 34-28, and Troy, I believe, had that thing tied up late in that game, or maybe even had the lead 28-27 late in that game. But that was Neil Brown's Troy. This is Gerard Parker's, and trust me, they are not very good. So, shout out to the chat asking me, hey man, I live in South Carolina. Sports betting's illegal. Ridiculous. But you can play the state lottery, right? How do they justify that? Do you trust Offshore, and which one should I use? I mean, you could do several things here. You can get a VPN, and you should be able to maybe do the old play action fake. And of course, we're sponsored by MyBookie. I've used Bovada before. Or you could do old fashioned and have a book, although I did see in the state of South Carolina, forensic files where a bookie did owe a bunch of people a bunch of money he was never paying, and he ended up dead. That's the thing that's hilarious. It's like that. South Carolina had that case where, like, a dude actually died because of this shit. Had they just legalized it, it would have never been a problem because they would have had to pay the money up. They don't get it. They don't get it. Yeah, I mean, look, you're always taking a gamble when it's offshore, but I think you're fine. I think depending on which one you use, I think you're fine. You might run into a little bit of red tape. What I would recommend is take screenshots. Take a lot of screenshots of your bets if you're going to do that. But also try the VPN angle. So, all right. So I got Clemson 2-0 out the gate. Then week 3, a trip to Atlanta, to Bobby Dodd Stadium, take on Brent Key and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. This is a slippery spot because, Brent Key, since he's been at Georgia Tech, those boys are giant killers. They struggle against fucking the Citadel, but they'll have a hard, they'll be waiting for you here. In fact, they'll be waiting for you so much that I will call for the outright upset here as Georgia Tech. You saw them push Georgia to 8 overtimes last year. Really should have beat Georgia if you're honest with yourself there. They were the better team that day. But they've had a knack for this is Stormwatch 101, by the way. Storm in the field right here could potentially be on the line here. I think Haynes King is a fucking beast, and they lose Singleton. I'm not sweating. He goes out to Auburn, right? They lose their DN to Texas Tech. The kid that played everywhere was at USC before that. What's his name? I can't think of it right now. He was at Auburn too. The hell am I thinking of? The DN that was a beast. Anyway, I think this game's incredibly scary, and I think because Jamal Haynes is back for Georgia Tech as well, and the Haynes connection. Where do we get our Haynes on you? Give me Georgia Tech upset, 2-1. I'm fascinated by this game, by the way. Fascinated by this game. Week 4, Fran Brown. Shout out to the great Fran Brown and the Syracuse Orangemen are coming into Clemson Memorial Stadium. This will be a loss because Syracuse lost everybody. We're going to do that preview in probably 30 minutes here. Steve Angeli named the starting quarterback, the former Notre Dame transfer. But they only returned one starter on their entire offense, which is, it's going to take some time, I think. And I think Fran Brown's a great coach and we'll probably have them ready, but still, even with that, this is too much. This is too much to ask. I got Clemson 3-1 at the bye week. They could easily be 4-0, by the way. Shout out to the Fridge. They got both Perrys, man. William Perry and Michael Dean Perry. Man, Fridge Perry. You can't tell me that the game wasn't cooler when you got someone like that loading up in the backfield. Come on. Come out of the bye week, and this is the one I think we have no fucking idea. I might have to go to this game. Clemson is at North Carolina. Clemson has a bye week. North Carolina has a bye week. Have you driven a Gio Lopez lately? Probably starting at quarterback for North Carolina. Chapel Bill not giving us much as far as you watch the practice tape. No one's wearing jersey numbers, so you got no idea who the hell is who. I'm taking Clemson, of course, but you want to talk about a mystery game. And for some reason, I do feel like Carolina kind of gives them hard times in Chapel Hill. But I will go to 4-1. It's not that we're high on UNC. It's that the schedule's incredible. And Bill Belichick is perhaps the greatest professional head coach of all time. You know, I do not buy the without Brady, he's got no championships. Shut the fuck up. Without Brady, what are you talking about? Those New York Giant teams were not very good on offense. Go watch the tape. That defense was all the reason why the Giants won Super Bowls. Also, let's not kid ourselves here. He got to the playoffs with the fucking Cleveland Browns. He got to the playoffs with Mac Jones. He should have got to the playoffs with Matt Cassell. I mean, that's why I think we should be given a little bit of credit. His dad, and it's not your traditional NFL coach coming down to college. Bill Belichick's dad coached college football his entire career. So I feel like if anyone might know the game a little more, even though a lot has passed since then, it could still be Belichick. So that's why I'm giving it validity, and the schedule's super soft as well. But I'm giving that to Clemson. So 4-1. Then a trip to Chestnut Hill back-to-back away. This one's a little sneaky because I could see that North Carolina one being like the game of the week. This one's a little sneaky, but it's not going to be that cold yet. October 11th with Chestnut Bill there. I love how you guys get Chapel Bill the week before and then Chestnut Bill the week after. I will say Clemson finds a way to get this dub. So I got them at what? I got them at 5-1. 5-1. No, I get it. It is college. You know, the chat is talking about if it Belichick in college, but I'm saying his dad coached at college his whole career. And also, like, if you look at Belichick's coaching tree, it was very college influenced. Nick Saban obviously was on his staff. Kirk Ferentz was on his staff. Bill O'Brien, who was a college guy before, was on his staff. I'm forgetting some too. There's others. Brett Bielema was on his staff. So it is. I would be curious to see. I don't think it's like Lovie Smith or Herm Edwards going there as much. I think this is a little bit different based on that. Or whoever else, Dave Wanstead or something, or Chan Gailey. You know, there's been a lot of failed NFL coaches that come to college. But yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting to watch. I'll tell you that. Then after Boston College, they come home and take on SMU. This game, very fascinating to me. I'm going to take Clemson, but I do think Jennings is underrated at the quarterback spot. Everyone's remembering the Penn State game instead of who he really is a really good quarterback. Yeah, he played a bad game. Okay. But I'm still taking, if this was at SMU, I'd probably think about taking SMU, but in Clemson, South Carolina, give me Clemson. I got them sitting there going into the second bye week there at 6-1. Then after that, your bye week, shout out to the former Washington Redskin great Terry Allen. And then a home game against Duke. And this is a pivotal. I just got to talk about these bye weeks. So if you use the week 1 as a bye week, or like the beginning of the season, you can make a case that you pretty much have a bye week before every important game. You get you get all off season to prep for Brian Kelly and Nussmeier. You then get a Troy game, and Troy's was really bad before Georgia Tech. You then get a bye week before Chapel Bill. And then you get a bye week before Duke, which I am very bullish that Duke is going to be very good this year. But I think it's a tall order to think Duke's going to win this at Clemson. So give me another win for Clemson. Right there, 7-1. And then Saudi Arabia State comes to Clemson. Now this one, I'll be honest, Sam. I love Duke's team this year, and it is on the table that they could upset Clemson because I do think Duke has the defense to really make that game interesting. But as far as this game, we have no idea, right? I mean, Clemson's whooped their ass so much that you got the same guy reading spy novels in the fucking stands down in Tallahassee, but this one's up in Clemson. I have to take Clemson, although Saudi Arabia State, we have no idea. I asked a beat writer, what does he think of Saudi Arabia this year? And he's like, I don't know, man. We got 11 transfers on offense, 11 transfers on defense that I got penciled in starting. So I don't think Florida State could win this in Clemson. So I will take Clemson to get that dub. But I will say this, it's a tricky part of the schedule right here. Then a trip to Louisville, Kentucky. And this is one I know Louisville went into Clemson and got them last year. Anytime you give me like Jeff Brown against like a top 10 team, I will take it. So I think they're going to, I think Louisville will get them here in this spot. So this will be a second loss for me. Fascinated by this game. I think Louisville's flying under the radar a little bit too. Then a trip to back home, where you take on the Furman Paladins. I mean, shit, you guys been playing this one since the 1800s. So shout out to that. This will be a win for these Clemson Tigers. And then the season finale, the Palmetto Bowl in Columbia, South Carolina. This rivalry is awesome. I know with the SEC talking about the 9-game conference schedule they're moving to, they're still going to protect this game. Thankfully, someone's got some cojones out there. I have Clemson getting revenge here. I have Clemson getting revenge and going to 10-2 on the season. But I will say that back half of the season, so 10-2, the win total is 10.5. So I am on the under. And I think the under is actually, I think it's actually lockable. That does not mean Clemson can still not, Clemson can still win the national championship. But plus 1,200 to win the Natty, plus 120 to win the ACC, minus 205 to make the college football playoffs. To me, the best bet on the board is the under 10.5. The reason why I say that is if you look at the schedule from a bird's eye view, in my opinion, they have what? 1, 2, 3. I mean, they get a tough schedule, man. When you think about who they draw, there's no Wake Forest on the schedule. There's no Virginia. There's no Stanford. There's no Cal. There's no Virginia Tech. These teams that were the worst in the conference, really. I know you could say, well, Syracuse might be there this year, and maybe you're right, or maybe Florida State with their 2-win season last year. But we knew that Florida State team still had talent. I think this schedule is actually a little tricky. The problem is we don't know what the hell North Carolina or Florida State's going to look like. You got to like the home schedule, though. The fact you play so many of these losable games at home. LSU is a losable game. SMU is a losable game. Duke's a losable game. Florida State's a losable game. But you get all those in Clemson. And I think that's pretty pivotal right there. But I still think 10-2 is much more likely than 11-1 because you just look at. I have pretty much every team. So I have LSU on the fringe of the college football playoffs, right? Potentially in one of the last teams. They're kind of going to be in the Ole Miss spot. Georgia Tech, I think, could very well be in the ACC championship. North Carolina, that schedule is great. So I do believe they are a contender to get to the ACC championship. SMU was in the ACC championship in the college football playoff a year ago, and they returned their quarterback. Duke, I think, is very good. 9-win season a year ago. Florida State, I think they're definitely a bowl team this year. Louisville, I think, is a contender in the ACC. So you're basically getting who's the contender they're not getting? Miami, right? But you're getting all the other ones. I'd say Miami and Pitt would be the only other two ones that could contend. But you're getting Georgia Tech, North Carolina, SMU, Duke, Florida State, Louisville. It's tricky. It's tricky. And then who knows what South Carolina, you'd rather play South Carolina week 1 because, they lost 6 guys on the defensive side of the ball to the NFL. But by week 14, Lenora Sellers, and at Williams-Brice is always tricky. So I think the under's the play, but I do think Clemson will be in the playoffs. And when they're in the playoffs, they could really do some damage, obviously. But give me the under on 10.5, despite me loving the roster, the coaching hire, and and everything else here. I think there's just too many landmines there. What happens if they lose to LSU? They could lose 2 games by fucking week 3. What if Brian Kelly and LSU catch them? Week 1, they beat Troy, and then Georgia Tech's just waiting for them. They storm the field. And you could be 1-2, and then you could win the rest of your games. But you already cashed your ticket. You could have cashed your ticket by week 3. You can't say that for a lot of teams. So I think it's on the table. But I think they do beat LSU. But that other loss will come somewhere along the lines. All right, folks, give me about 15, 20 minutes. Get something to drink. Then we're going to talk Syracuse Orange football as we preview all Orange men. I'm sorry, Syracuse Orange men as we preview all 136 college football teams. And we still got a few left, so we got to power through these things. So youtube.com/the college experience. I still think the best bet on the board. Look, I mean, minus 205 to make the college football playoff isn't worth it to me. What happens if Klubnik gets injured or something? I think you either play 2 things here. I am going to bet the under 10.5. But I also think plus 1,200 to win the Natty is not bad. I got that from FanDuel, so it's not bad. Let's take a flyer on that. All right, folks. 15 minutes, and we'll be back with the Syracuse Orangemen. Enjoy the slideshow honoring Clemson football history on the way out of here. This is the college football experience, Clemson Tiger style. I'm on Twitter at @TheColbyD. College football experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Until next time. you better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Mailbox 1. You have 7 messages.
1.
I'm not saying I'm impossible to outsmart, mind, body, and soul, or nothing without heart. And I'm not saying I'm impossible to outrun, mind, body, and soul, or nothing without love. And I'm not saying I'm impossible to outdo, mind, body, and soul, or nothing without truth. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but you're nothing without yourself. We're the obsession to be a part of that, started that. Mind over matter don't matter in the market.
Bring the tiger back. Bring the tiger back.
Logic cause leaders need lambs to be lethargic. Match wits with the half-wit phantom. I don't need jumper cables or mic cords to analyze an analytical anthem. Between my two ears, an engine pumping the life force. Force field for your grip on the grievance. Still gonna feel unchallenged and bored stiff. So arrange the pieces to prepare cohesive. All the hard work will go largely ignored if your hands are covered with post-its and paper cuts. You need to have your voice in the vice grip. The one who made it famous ain't the one who made it up. You don't get overtime just for working the night shift.
I'm taking a pitch right now. It's like
I'm not saying I'm impossible to outsmart, mind, body, and soul, or nothing without heart. And I'm not saying I'm impossible to outrun, mind, body, and soul, or nothing without love. And I'm not saying I'm impossible to outdo, mind, body, and soul, or nothing without truth. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but you're nothing without yourself. Every time I close my eyes, I'm taken to the same place, a playing field, and every contestant's got the game face. Everybody's yelling, you ought to play it safe. Make sure them shoes are tied and ankles tape. Shake the cobweb, hit the ground running. This is how cunning I can get with the footwork. You're doing it right, well, it shouldn't hurt. Flirt with greatness, still I run the famous. Nice high heels, I got mics for spikes. Trampling the home team and the turf for life. For the few fleet of foot, too fast for me. I fear none, cause I run and ignore the pair of feet by the tree that are fast asleep. In love with the game, you adore the head. I believe in achievement. My soul isn't rewarded just cause the season goal moves toward it. I'm not saying I'm impossible to outsmart, mind, body, and soul, or nothing without heart. And I'm not saying I'm impossible to outrun, mind, body, and soul, or nothing without love. And I'm not saying I'm impossible to outdo, mind, body, and soul, or nothing without truth. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but you're nothing without yourself. Conspiracy theories, gotta love them clearly. Nothing's more entertaining than entertaining a query. Just the words of the wise and the weary. Recognize the authors of reality and theory. Theoretically, I could have won Scribble Jam. In reality, I lost to a legend. Theoretically,